Hey y'all, this is Jillian from Maxine Makes Magic. Welcome back to my channel. It has been a minute, to say the least, since I have made a video for the channel, but I promise it's for good reason. Based on the video title, you probably already know what I'm about to say, but I'm really excited to share that my husband and I are expecting our first child in January of 2026. I could not be more ecstatic to share this news with y'all. Now, I didn't really have the greatest posting schedule to begin with. Now it's probably going to be even more sporadic as I'm navigating the journey to motherhood, but I have some really great content in my mind. Pregnancy brain has not taken that away from me quite yet. So please just be patient, stay tuned, and I cannot wait to share some more amazing content with you. The video title is a perfect segue into our topic for today, and that is planning a Disney park day when you are pregnant, when you are expecting. Planning a Disney park day is already overwhelming in and of itself when you're adding an extra layer of unknown, whether this is your first child, it is your second, your 10th, whatever it may be. There are so many factors that you need to consider when you are planning a Disney park day. This whole idea sparked because my husband and I are going on our baby moon when this video is being recorded a couple weeks from now. So one of the days on our baby moon, we're actually going to Disneyland just for a day, just to get a little bit of a taste. The rest of the time, we're gonna be relaxing by the beach, but we wanted to go to Disneyland for a day. And with that, there were so many different things that I had never considered before when traveling to the Disney parks that just started popping into my mind. And I wanna share those planning thoughts, tips, recommendations with you. Now, the biggest thing I just want to caveat with this video is I am not a medical professional. So if you are going through your pregnancy journey, please consult with your healthcare provider. They are going to be able to help you in the best way to determine what is a good fit for you based on your pregnancy, where you're at, all that kind of good stuff. You should always consult with your doctor before you go ahead and plan a Disney trip when you are pregnant. That is so important. So please make sure you do that. So with that out of the way, let's dive right into it. Let's talk all things Disney parks and pregnancy, because I promise you, there's some little good tidbits in here of things that I've been planning and figuring out and thinking through ahead of this trip. And I want to share that planning with you. A lot we have to talk about. Let's dive into it. One of the very first things that we thought about when planning this Disney park day was, where am I going to be at within my pregnancy? Every pregnancy is completely different, but there are some commonalities that we traditionally see. First trimester, fatigue, nausea, those are the two main things. By the second trimester, maybe some specific hunger cravings might pop up. Mood swings maybe, depending on the individual. And by the third trimester, we're going to start seeing that significant weight gain as our body is prepping us for the baby to arrive, and also just general baby growth, all of our anatomy growing, all that kind of good stuff. So there are some things as women that we have to keep in mind when we're planning to go to the theme parks, even more so than we did before. The way I look at it is, and the way we looked at it as a couple, was first trimester we were not even considering her baby moon yet, but the thought of going to the theme park when there might have been nausea or fatigue and being in a really overstimulating environment might not have been a good fit for me at the time. I was very fortunate to have a easy first trimester. So far my pregnancy has been pretty easy. I've not had any major fatigue or sickness. So overall I've been very blessed, but that's not the case for everybody. So first trimesters, kind of iffy at that point. Once you're getting to the second trimester, you're kind of getting into your groove, but your body's still adjusting. Weight gain can start towards the middle to end. It can really start at any point for anybody, but for me at least, I'm in that like middle part of my second trimester, and the weight gain has been starting to show up naturally, as it does for women. So for us, the second trimester is kind of that sweet spot. I have certain things that I'm craving. I don't have any food aversions anymore. That is out the door. Now I just want my sour and I want my salt. And as we get towards the third trimester, that is when we're really starting to get into our groove and preparing for baby. We're gaining weight, which we should be for pregnancy, and preparing for baby to get here. We are maybe starting to feel aches and pains more than we did before because of that weight gain. There is just overall fatigue because we're slowing down, we're tired, we're growing a human. These are all things that in general, at least for me, are what I've experienced, what I'm expecting, and what I've heard from others. So with that being said, these are factors that we had to consider when we were picking when to go to Disneyland and overall our baby moon. So for us, and not Pascal, who's deciding to interrupt per usual, we were not thinking that the first trimester would even be an option. We definitely are going during our second trimester, but towards the end of the second trimester. And third was an option, but just in case there were any concerns with complications or just that additional fatigue with weight gain, you know, it just wasn't the right choice for us. There's also the risk of not being able to fly. Airlines will not let you travel past a certain date. And because of that, it isn't reliable to book a flight. I will drop in generally when flights do not encourage you to travel, or they won't let you travel at all. The next consideration is seasonality. I always ran cold, and the second I got pregnant, I started to run really, really warm. And knowing that here in the States, you've got Walt Disney World Resort in Florida, and you've got the Disneyland Resort in California, you're in generally warmer climates. So you want to keep that in mind based on when you pick to go on your baby moon. If you're already struggling with being overheated, you don't want to drop yourself into really humid weather. So for places like Orlando, Florida, you're really not going to want to go there anytime from like May to, I would say, September, October, which really limits the time you can go. October, you might be okay. You start to kind of get cool downs, but in general, that limits when you can go. Now, California, out in Anaheim, the temperatures are a little bit more mild, but overall, you really want to think about temperatures, rainy season. You also want to think about, if you're going to go to the Orlando resort, hurricane season. Hurricane season is a huge risk when planning your baby moon. That is a good time for you and your partner to go relax, unwind. In our case, we're going to Disney, so we're not unwinding the entire time, but we're going to, I promise, we're going to get some relaxation in. But it's not necessarily a great idea to plan a trip somewhere where you might not be able to go because of the risk of a hurricane or a tropical storm. That's why we eliminated Florida when we were planning our trip. We weren't even thinking about going to Walt Disney World for that reason, but heading out to Anaheim was going to give us the opportunity to enjoy Disneyland in a more mild temperature. I'm going to get my Disney fix. The baby is going to go to Disney before it even knows it. All that kind of good stuff. So you really want to think about seasonality when you are planning your baby moon, just thinking about when you're due versus when you want to go, and ensuring you're taking into account your body, the temperature there, any sort of seasonal impacts with weather, all that kind of good stuff, so you don't run the risk of losing out on a baby moon for you and your partner. Now we've got all the considerations out of the way. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of planning a baby moon to the Disney parks. The very first thing I want you to look at, if you've been to Disney before or you've never been, is what kind of rides do you want to go on? Because realistically, when you are going to Disney, you're looking at rides, attractions, character meet and greets, food, but specifically rides are something that you're going to want to look into because there are going to be limitations for you for your own safety. There's a really cool thing called the Expectant Mothers Advisory that's available at the parks, on signage outside of the rides, but also on the My Disney Experience app for both Walt Disney World and Disneyland. You can find those in the App Store or the Google Play Store and download those to help you prepare for your trip. I'll pop up on the screen so you can kind of follow along with what I'm talking about here, and I'll point out some of the rides. I'm going to specifically focus on Disneyland today just because that's where we're going, but I can kind of show you in the app where you're going to find this expectant mother's advisory so you can best plan for your trip. But Jill, what is the advisory? The advisory essentially is telling you what rides are not recommended for women with child to ride. For your own safety, Disney has said that these rides, for different reasons, are not safe for you and baby. The rides are as you would expect them to be. Roller coasters, ones that are going to jostle you around, that are not safe for you and baby. Anything that has a sudden drop. A good example of that in Disney's California Adventure would be Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. If we're looking at rides that might jostle you around in the Disneyland park, you're going to think about rides like the Matterhorn, Space Mountain. But there's also rides that you might have not even thought would be on this list. A great example, Autopia. Who would have thought a little car ride along a track in Disneyland would be a concern for you and baby? But if you think about it, you run the risk of a bumper car effect. If someone is coming up too quick from behind because they're free riding vehicles and hits you from behind, could be concerning. And it's not to say the cars go fast, but again, we're looking to mitigate risk for you. And by we, I mean Disney. Disneyland is looking to mitigate risk for both you and your safety, but also themselves. They're still a corporation at the end of the day. So that expectant mother's advisory list is going to tell you the rides that you are advised against participating in. And it's also not to say that just because a ride doesn't have an expectant mother's advisory that it might be a good fit for you. If you are someone, for example, that gets really dizzy, or you're still struggling with some pregnancy nausea, going on the Mad Tea Party teacups and spinning in circles is probably not the best fit for you. So really understand your body pre and during pregnancy to know what rides are going to be a good fit for you. And what I will say is there are a ton of rides both in Disney World in Florida and in Disneyland and the parks that accompany those that you can ride and enjoy while pregnant. I was baffled at how many rides I could still go on. Of course, I could still see shows, enjoy character meet and greets, food. We'll talk about that soon. I'm going to pop up the lists of all the things that do not have an expectant mother's advisory that you could go on if they are a good fit for you based on your own research. But I was baffled at how many rides you could actually enjoy while pregnant. So you might think when you're looking at this with your travel party, like, oh my goodness, I'm going to impact people's time and what I can enjoy versus what they want to go on. And oh my goodness, there's so much planning. There are so many things that you can still do. So don't panic. There are so many fun rides for you to enjoy. Something that I recommend is, either researching the rides a little bit or making a list of rides that are must-dos for you that you can enjoy. That expectant mother's advisory is chef's kiss, super duper helpful. But again, make sure you check with your medical provider what works best for you. This is, to me, the most important part of planning your Disney trip when you're pregnant. And that, my friends, is meal planning. I was already a foodie before I was pregnant, but now with these cravings of sour and salty, I have made a list of all of the different items I want to enjoy when I go to the parks, keeping in mind that I am past that point of food aversion. So if you are kind of still in that position where there's major food aversions, this is a great area to plan. What I went ahead and did, as I said, was create a list of all the things I want to try out, and I found the different food items on the Disneyland app. It's the same for the Disney My Experience app for down in Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. It'll give you a breakdown of all the different food items and prices, and sometimes too, depending on the menu, even an allergy list of things to keep in mind when you're trying to plan out your best food day. And that to me, honestly, is probably the thing I'm most excited about, because Disneyland food is better than Disney World food, let's be real. So I'm excited to get my frozen lemonade and my popcorn and ride Small World and have the best time. But it's really important to just keep in mind your food preferences, your aversions, allergies, and plan ahead. And the Disneyland app is going to help you do that. I promise this is not a giant advertisement for the Disneyland app, but it has been so helpful in making sure I can kind of figure out throughout the different lands where there's items that have protein, maybe some sweet, some salt, give myself some variety, and just have an app already ready to go that indicates, or have a note that just indicates what's available in that land to me. So I'm not getting there and panicking. Because I don't know about y'all, but like getting hangry prior to pregnancy was one thing, but pregnancy hangry is a whole nother level. When I want it now. And if I don't get it, look out, my poor husband. It is just something I need immediately. So I actually created a note in my phone. I'll pop it up here. I actually created drop downs and just noted all the rides I want to do in the lands, all the different food items I'm interested in that could be a good fit for me, just knowing my dietary preferences, as well as the things that sound good to me, and making sure I know where it is available to me. Another great thing about the Disneyland park is, for the majority, it is a dry park. I think with the exception of Oga's Cantina, if I remember right. So with that being said, you're not gonna have to worry about missing out and not being able to, Pascal just keeps wanting to join this chat today, but you're not gonna have to worry about not being able to kind of like drink and enjoy a drink with your buddies or with your partner when you're there. I personally couldn't care less. That's usually not the place where I want to have a beverage, but I know that's not everybody. Some people do kind of feel like they're missing out a little bit, and that's totally okay. No judgment there. But just know when you are in Disneyland, it's overall a dry park, so you're going to be able to enjoy some mocktails. And even if you go to Oga's Cantina, there are mocktails. And I have a whole video coming up soon about ranking Oga's Cantina, so be on the lookout for that, where we talk about different menu items and we talk about mocktails and cocktails. But having a food plan that can kind of fold up into your ride plan is going to be very helpful for you. Last but not least, what am I bringing with me? I have my iPad here. I'm going to reference this list because trying to memorize this list right now is not going to happen, my friends. But some of the things that I am bringing with me: one, my backpack, my Loungefly. I am bringing my Disney Loungefly with me just to ensure I can carry anything that I need. My husband's already willing to carry it for me if it gets too heavy, but he will be helping me out if I need it. Otherwise, I will have my backpack. I bring it with me regardless of whether or not I'm pregnant, but you're gonna wanna have a backpack or something to carry all of your goodies. Second thing is that I am going to bring snacks in my bag in case of emergencies. Having an emergency sealed water bottle, having an emergency granola bar is super important. So if hunger strikes and baby wants food now or needs a sip of water now and you're so close to the front of the line, you wanna make sure you have those for emergency purposes. Also keep in mind that some rides make you put your stuff in a locker, but for the most part, you should be able to carry those items with you and have those ready to go. You also can bring a tumbler water bottle instead of just a sealed water bottle. So if you want to refill a Yeti or a Stanley, a Walla, all those kind of good water bottles, you can ask for cups of water at the different food kiosks. So overall, you should be okay there. Another tip is be comfy and wear comfortable shoes that are broken in. You do not need to be a superstar. You're already a superstar. You're growing a human. Let's be honest here. Make sure that you are wearing something you are going to be comfortable in, because you don't want to ruin your vacation by being uncomfortable. And you're already kind of uncomfortable in your own skin. At least I have been at times. So it's really important just to wear stuff that makes you feel good. That could be a cute little dress. and shoes and some shorts underneath. I'm a girl that chafes. I get leg chafing. I want to make sure I got shorts on at all times. My legs are not chafing. However, you might just want to wear running anti-chafing shorts and a t-shirt. You might not even want to wear Mickey ears. The thought of putting Mickey ears on your head, oh my gosh, that might not even be the right vibe for you. And that's okay. How you're going to dress is going to be different than how you would dress if you weren't pregnant. So don't put too much pressure on yourself to wear the best Disney bound, or maybe you're feeling so awesome that you're like, this is my time to Disney bound is something fun, like Winnie the Pooh. I know that is so common right now as a trend to dress as Winnie the Pooh when you go to the parks and you're pregnant, because oh my God, that is so stinking cute. Why would you not? But go be comfortable in what works best for you. That's the best advice that I can give. And bring anti-chafe sticks if you're like me, or deodorant's a good thing to bring too. If you feel like you're getting kind of, you know, like how you smell, because body odor is kind of a whole thing when you're pregnant. Perfume is definitely something you can bring, a travel size bottle. Another thing too is Band-Aids for your heels in case your shoes, you thought you broke them in, but maybe you broke them in too much and they're starting to kind of deteriorate, or you're just for whatever reason having a bad heel day and your feet are rubbing and you start to get blisters. Make sure you have some Band-Aids on the ready. The next thing too, cooling fans or cooling towels. You got the neck fans. I brought those with me on a trip last year in June to Disney World, and I'm telling you, in almost 100-degree weather, it was a lifesaver. There's no shame in bringing something to keep you cool. That is so important when you're pregnant. Definitely some good things to include in your bag. Another thing too is if you are prone to sweat or you run cool, you're gonna wanna bring either an extra pair of clothes, maybe an extra pair of t-shirt, undergarments, shorts, skirts, whatever that may be, in your park bag. There's no shame in changing throughout the day if you're just feeling horrible. Change. Nothing wrong with that. Or if you run cool and the temperatures are going to look a little bit cooler, make sure you bring a jacket. I have failed myself many a times thinking that in Orlando or in Anaheim I was not going to have that problem because it's always nice there, right? No, sometimes you're going to need a jacket. A couple more fun planning tips that you can keep in mind is if you are going to the parks and you want to celebrate a little bit, a really fun thing to do is to get a celebration button. These are Disney buttons that cast members will customize to help you celebrate your trip. They usually say, I'm celebrating. They can be for anniversaries, birthdays, graduations, anything you want. I'm personally planning on getting a I'm expecting XYZ gender in the new year, in January, whatever that may be. However you want to word that, whatever fits on the button is what I am going to add, as well as you could get a balloon in the color of the gender of the child as well. That's really fun, and take some cool pictures with that. Just keep in mind with that one, you're gonna have to carry your balloon around all day. So that is everything that I have done to prepare for our baby moon in Disneyland here in the next few weeks. We are so excited, one, for this little bundle of joy to be on the way in the new year, but we're also so excited to go with our little friend here to the Disney parks before it is born. I could not be more excited if I tried. I hope this video was helpful for you, just giving you a little bit of ideas, things to consider before you plan a trip to the Disney parks during this super exciting time of your life. If you liked today's video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. This is a little bit different than my traditional content. I usually focus on Disney menu ranking reviews where I look at different Disney menus throughout the resort properties and let you know if it's a good fit for you and your travel party based on 5 key criteria. I also recreate Disney recipes at home. So I scour the internet for different recipes and kind of Frankenstein them together in order to create Disney parks food at home, and then just general Disney fanfare like this. But if you enjoyed, I am so glad. If you were expecting, congratulations. I'd love to hear more about your journey or your travel plans below in the comments, so make sure to sound off down there. Follow me on my different socials, and as always, this is Jillian from Maxine Makes Magic, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye, guys.